Hey guys, how you doing? This is jpsarrireviews coming to you once again with another episode of Age of Heroes, my podcast. So welcome to the podcast. It is always a pleasure of mine to really take time to talk to you and really to have these conversations that are really important for us as geeks. You know, conversations that in regards to entertainment, regards to movies, in regards to collectibles, gaming, and all of that. Now, last week, San Diego Comic-Con was crazy. Definitely, there was a lot of good stuff. I'm still in my channel here on YouTube. I'm still covering a lot of stuff with the collectibles. I'm going every day on live stream. So if you want to just hang out, just check my YouTube channel. I'm doing live streams. I'm going to continue doing live streams throughout this week. So I cover all the different companies, statue collectibles, action figures, and all of that. All the cool stuff that was showcased at San Diego Comic-Con. But also at the San Diego Comic-Con, we had trailers, and there were some really nice trailers. We got the trailer for Top Gun, the new one that is coming out, which was out of the left field for sure. We also had a trailers for Netflix stuff. We had a trailer for The Witcher, which looks pretty good with Henry Cavill. We had a trailer for the Crystal Defenders, which is very nice. It looks really neat. I'm looking forward to that show. Some other trailers as well, but I think the biggest thing for Marvel MCU fans was the fact that the panel, the Marvel panel, the MCU panel, they really showcase everything that they're planning to do in the next 2 years on Phase 4, and there's a lot of cool stuff there, and definitely a lot of exciting stuff. And I want to go through all of that. I had when they announced it the same day, I made a live video. It was midnight where I live here in the East Coast. And I made a video when it was pretty quick. I have the link for you so you can you want to watch my first impressions right away. Some of the information has been updated from that video in the sense that some of the information was given later on. But you know, we have plenty of time to talk about it. And of course, if you go online right now, there's a lot of haters. A lot of people are very unhappy with the final product. You know, a lot of people are dissatisfied with a lot of things that were presented there. You know, like a lot of people are saying that Marvel is going woke and all that stuff. You know, they've been saying that for quite a while. But I want to dissect some of that because I think that the foundation is set for something great on the next, in this case, saga. I think now with the end of the in this case, the Infinity Saga, was one of the greatest sagas of all, I would say, in Hollywood from all movie franchises. Now it's time to move, to look forward instead of looking backwards. And I think it's time for us to move to the next thing. And I think they're setting the foundation now. The delivery will depend a lot in the end on how they approach the source material. But I believe that they are going in the right direction. And I want to explore all of that. And I want to dissect some of the information to see exactly where they're heading and what we can look forward to. So I want to use a different, I'm going to use some of these pages. If you're watching this in YouTube, if not, you're only listening to this through iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, I have all the links down below so you can go through all of that, but I'll give you explanations on where we're heading. I want to use first, I want to go to this page, the CNET page. I'll have that in the links. On the CNET page, they have a link they have a article. It says Marvel MCU Phase 4 plans reveal, Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Thor, Love and Thunder, New Doctor Strange, and more. What I'm coming to this page, what I like about this one is because they have a concise list. For those that are watching, you can see it. I'll give you the dates. They tell you exactly what the schedule is. The next movie in the MCU is coming on May 1st, 2020, and it's Black Widow. That's the next one, which I'm really excited for it. We're going to just go in detail about it in just a moment. On the fall of the same year, we're going to have the TV show for Disney Plus, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which I'm excited for that one as well. I'm excited for all of this. November 6th, we're going to have the Eternals movie. Very nice, out of the left. We kind of knew that it was coming, but definitely it's nice that now it's been confirmed. Now, on February 12, 2021, we're going to have Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I spoke about this in the podcast. It was one of my first podcasts. It was like episode number 17. The possibility of this, and of course, now it's confirmed. They have the cast. They're gonna bring the Mandarin. Pretty cool stuff. Now, in spring of 2021, they're gonna have the show WandaVision on the Disney Plus series. So this is cool. We knew about this one. May 7th, 2021, Doctor Strange and in the Multiverse of Madness. And there's a lot of cool information for this film. This is May 7th, 2021. Now, on spring of the same year, 2021, we're going to have the Loki TV show on Disney Plus. Disney Plus is really setting out to be one of the greatest things, I would say, next year. Now, on the summer 2021, we're going to have What If, which is the animated series, and a lot of the actors in the MCU are going to play. They're going to voice over a lot of the characters, which is very neat. Now, on the fall of 2021, we're going to have the Hawkeye TV show. We never got to see a movie, but I'm glad that they're doing a TV show. Now, November 5th of 2021, we're going to have Thor 4, Love and Thunder, and this is going to be amazing. I think this is the first film within the Thor, with all the MCU that actually, it's not a trilogy there. They get to have a fourth film, and I think it was well deserved. We love Thor, and I think there's a lot of story that can be taken out of Thor to create movies. There's so many stories that have been told throughout the years. So I'm very excited for that. So this is the list. They also mentioned that they're already working at the end of they talk about they're working on Blade. That's coming. We're going to talk about it in just a moment. They're already working fast paced on Fantastic Four and also in ideas and how to introduce the mutants. So this is something that already is in pretty much on the works. So it's exciting. They announced all of that on the panel. So let's start from the beginning. I'm going to use another page, the same one that I used when I was on that video on my first impressions. And I'm going to Entertainment Tonight. And this Marvel announces Phase 4 at Comic-Con. And of course, Black Widow, The Eternal, Store 4, and more. I'll have the link for this too, for those that are listening to the podcast. Now, in this one, they announced, of course, they in the first film that is coming, and in this case is Black Widow. This one, it's coming out it's coming out on May 1st, 2020. It's pretty cool. It's exciting to see this because Black Widow is one of those characters. I think one of the core characters of the MCU. It has been since the Avengers, since she started in Iron Man 2. She's been a big part of the MCU. Unfortunately, she never got a movie. We had a Captain Marvel movie. People were upset about it because, you give Captain Marvel, but you had Black Widow all along. But I feel that they did it the right way, and they want to give more weight to the character. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of information, a lot of things that, we saw through the movies, a lot of hints to her past, but never really was fully explained, her past. She talks about her past. People around here talk about her past, but we don't know her past. So now we're going to be able to explore that. And, of course, we're going to see maybe a younger version of her, but also we're going to see some hints of the future. So, it's great. They have a great cast. Florence Pugh is going to be Jelena Belova. I'm very glad that David Harbour is going to play the part. He's going to play Alexei as the Red Guardian. The Red Guardian is kind of like the Captain America counterpart for the Russians. So this is pretty cool. And I'm sure that David Harbour he needs to look the part. So I'm sure that he's going to go through tough regimen just to kind of lose weight, because he was a bit chunky on the last season of in this case, Stranger Things, also a little bit chunky on Hellboy. But I love David Harbour. He's a great actor, and I'm very happy that he is being part now. He's brought to the MCU. He's a great actor, and he deserves the best. I like him. So definitely there's a great cast. And also they're talking about that we're going to see the Taskmaster. He's going to be the villain in this film. And they're going in the past, how she became a spy and all of that. So definitely this is exciting. I'm really looking forward to this film. Again, it's coming out May 1st, 2020. I think it's a great thing. I'm very happy. They should have done this years ago, but I think they're doing it at the right time. And I think it's a good change of pace from moving from the Infinity Saga, the Avengers Endgame, which was amazing, an epic film. Now let's start, change the pace, and let's move to the next, the next phase. So the next thing they talk about in this case was Thor for Love and Thunder, and they had on stage, they had Chris Hemsworth, Taika Waititi. We know he's coming back to to direct the film, which I'm very glad because he was, in my opinion, he was phenomenal on the way. I think his movie is my favorite. His movies, the Thor Ragnarok, is my favorite of all the Thor movies. I know a lot of people don't like it because it's a different take of Thor, or at least less classical. But in my opinion, it was perfect. It was done well for the character within the MCU. So we know that it's Chris Hemsworth, Tessa Thompson is coming back. Now, the series is making some changes in the sense that this is the aftermath. What happened? Of course, Thor is no longer the king. He surrenders that kingdom. He gives it to Tessa. Tessa now is the new king of Asgard. In this case, the queen of Asgard. But according to this, and this is something that a lot of people are getting upset about it, and I do understand. She's saying that now she is the queen. Now she's looking, she's the king. Now she's looking for a queen. So when Tessa Thompson mentioned about this, a lot of people are saying, well, why are they trying to push the LGBT agenda? I don't have a problem with that. Tessa, she has declared herself to be bisexual, so it's something that probably is deep to her heart. She really feels for it. More power to her. I just don't know how they want to align all of this. Of course, Marvel has been doing some crazy stuff in the comics. And of course, we know that Natalie Portman is taking the Mjolnir, and she is going to be the Thor now. It's going to be the female Thor, which, it's interesting. I wouldn't say a lot of people are upset about the whole thing. A lot of people are saying that they have disconstructed Thor so much to the point that it's a totally different story for what Thor is all about. And I would agree to a certain extent, 50% perhaps to that. Yeah, they have deconstructed Thor, but they are really taking a lot of inspiration from the newer comics. So we have to keep in mind everything that they've been doing at the MCU, everything comes from anything that is more recent. Nothing that comes from the 70s, really nothing from the 80s. Or even the 90s. Everything that they've been doing in the comics has to do from the 2000s, 2010, all the new comics, everything that is in more recent. So, I live with it. I don't have a problem because I can always go back. To me, it's like this is a multiverse of things. I can go back to the comics, read the comics, and I can also, stick with, the basics of it. So to me, it's not a big deal. I know for a lot of people it is, but I don't have a problem with it. So it just matters, I would say, a personal opinion. Now, let's go back to this, in this case with Thor. So Natalie Portman is going to be the pretty much the female Thor, and they're going to kind of go into the details of she taking the power, she taking the Mjolnir. I want to see what's going on. I really want to check it out. And I don't have a problem with it. I'm not going to hate on it until we watch it and see if it's bad, it's bad. If it's not, it's not. But if there's a director that knows how to pull the strings and how to really make something interesting and really appealing, I think it's Taika Waititi. And I'm really looking forward to that. So this film is scheduled for November 5th, 2021. So we have plenty of time until then, which I'm very glad. Now, the next thing that they talk about Hawkeye. And this is pretty much they say the final OG Avengers getting his own TV series. Now, for the longest, a lot of people were really dissatisfied that Hawkeye never really got to shine in this series. To me, I'll be honest with you, Hawkeye was the less appealing character in the whole, and I would say, in the whole series, and in this case on the original Avengers. He was the less appealing, maybe because he didn't have as much backstory as the others. Even though we didn't get a much backstory on Black Widow, at least we got a little bit because she came from Iron Man too, and then of course she was in the Avengers. So we kind of knew a little bit of her as an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, in this case, Hawkeye was introduced on the Avengers just like that, and at first he was just a bad guy. He was turning to a bad guy, and we didn't get to see much of him. And he's the one that has less powers, like Black Widow. They don't have any powers, but they're agents. And it's interesting, I think he did I like Renner. I wouldn't say that I'm crazy about his portrayal of Hawkeye. He has a more dark Hawkeye version. I like more like the 80s version of Hawkeye when he was on the West Coast Avengers. I like that version more, but that's just me, being a comic book fan. But I never really wanted to have a movie. I don't think a movie would have done that great in comparison to others because he's not such a big character. A lot of people don't really care much about him, but I'm glad they approaching this through a TV show. I think it's the best way to do it because you can dissect the character, you can give more weight to the character, much more background. He's going to be, in this case, training, what's the name? I forgot the name. The girl that becomes is the lead of the new Avengers. Let me remember. Kate Bishop. I'm sorry, I kind of forgot for a second. Well, Kate Bishop, who has also an apprentice in the comics, in the more recent comics, and she was part of the Young Avengers. She was the leader of the Young Avengers. So she's going to be introduced. A lot of people are already crying for that, saying, well, they're gonna empower women again, and that's the main purpose of this. I would say it's part of the comics, just don't get butthurt about it. It's just what it is. I want to see it. I don't have a problem with it. They want to explore this live, also saying that they're going to explore the Ronin side because we're going to know more about, his Ronin side, because I think that was a cool aspect of the Avengers Endgame, is to see Hawkeye as the Ronin. And hopefully they make this a little more mature in tone because, when he's the Ronin, he is definitely a killing machine. So I want to see that. I really want to see that. I want to see, it's Disney Plus, so we might, see the approach to be, less, strong in that area. But I really looking forward to it. I think that the possibilities are there. Now let's and the next film that they have, the next in the lineup that they were showing, they talk about the What If TV show, the cartoons. As if you like comics, the What If series has always been about creating stories, and then Elseworld stories. Some of them are quirky and funny. What would if this happened or that happened? What would be the outcome? So what I like about this animated series is the fact that they are bringing a lot of the actors and actresses. They're going to voice over, so it's going to be some connection with the MCU, and which I like, because as DC has always been phenomenal with the animated. DC might fail with the movies. Some of the movies are great. I'm not saying all, but has failed as a single universe. But the animated series, all their animated movies are fantastic. And they sometimes you have the same actors repeating the same voiceover. So I feel that this is something that I think the Marvel needs to strengthen, is the animated side, and I'm looking forward to this animated series. Now, next one, they talk about Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness. Now, this is very interesting. Of course, they say they're going to explore the multiverse, although, as you know, Mysterio and Jake Gyllenhaal it kind of lied to it on Spider-Man Far From Home. They're saying that that definitely this is going to be a way to explore the multiverse, in a darker tone. This is going to be, they're saying, the first horror. It's going to have a lot of horror elements with a lot of gothic elements into it, added to the whole appeal, the psychedelic colors and all that stuff. The Doctor Strange, and I think it's good. I think it's a great idea. Doctor Strange has always been known for that. It's part in the comics. It was always not only the astral things, the spiritual things. He's fighting demons. He's fighting all kind of things. The first movie didn't go into that route, but now they're able to explore it, and I think this is a good time to do it. They say that Wanda Maximoff is going to come and be part in the film, which is good because she's always been like an ally of Doctor Strange. They work together in so many ways. And I feel that this is something that is appealing to me. And the tone that they can do it, the possibilities are endless. And I think they're exploring the multiverse even more, adding it more for the next thing. So definitely they're setting up the stage for the next, I would say, dimensional battle. So it's going to be bigger, I would say, than just the battle that just had with Thanos. There's so many different, nemesis that they can fight, and I think they're setting up this the proper way. So definitely looking forward to that. This one is coming out on May 7th, 2021. So that we have plenty of time. We have 2 years till then. Now, the next thing they talk about was Loki, and as you know, Loki at the end of Avengers Endgame, they time, there was a scene where he kind of steals the Tesseract and he disappears. So they're saying that they're going to explore what happened in between. Where is Loki? Who is the real Loki? The person that we saw afterwards, or the Loki we saw after, is he the real thing or just a vision? We don't know. So they're going to explore all of those things, and this looked very interesting. Tom Hiddleston was there on the panel, and he is a very likable guy. I like him very much. He is my favorite villain. He is a villain, anti-hero. He is a villain, but he's kind of like an anti-hero. He has, started as a villain, but he has become kind of like an anti-hero thing. I like him. He's likable, even if he's mischievous, and because of that, he's just very likable. And definitely looking forward to that. This is supposed to arrive on the Disney Plus on spring of 2021, so I'm looking forward to that. Now, after that, they talk about WandaVision. We knew about this. A lot of people don't like the name. It sounds kind of like, I don't know, 280s for me. To early 90s, but it's cool, the idea, and they're gonna explore. Now they don't know how they're gonna explore after, of course, the death of, in this case, of Vision, how they're going to explore Vision, how they're gonna reintroduce Vision, or what they're going to do. But I feel that they're setting the stage. In my opinion, I know, even though in the movie appears that Vision was destroyed, he's not a human, so he's a sentient that can be transferred, and I know that some of his powers are within the stone. So definitely, I feel, or his presence, or who he is. So I feel that in one way they're going to bring him back. I don't know. I'm just speculating here. But definitely looking forward to watch this show. I want to see exactly their adventures and stuff. They're also going to bring a grown-up Monica Rambeau. For those that don't know who Monica Rambeau is, from the MCU standpoint, is the little girl that was hanging out with Carol Danvers. The little girl that was looking up to, that was the daughter of Carol Danvers' friend. And so now she's all grown because, of course, you remember the film was done, in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s? Late 80s, early 90s, something like that. And of course, it's going to, now she's grown. And if you know the comics, Monica Rambeau is the first female Captain Marvel back in the 80s. And I remember a lot of the stories which she was part of. A lot of people love her. A lot of people consider her the real Captain Marvel after the original Captain Marvel, Captain Marvel. And she's going to be part of it, which is very neat. I really like that idea. I like that they give injustice to all these characters. So she's going to be part in the story. I don't know how, but we're going to get to see it. And this is coming on spring of 2021. This is cool. Now, after that, they talk about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Now, the good thing about this show is that it's all centered around Shang-Chi. Now, if you don't know who Shang-Chi is, you have to go back to pretty much the late 70s, or late 70s and the mid 70s, when there was in America, there was a big growth. A lot of people were so intrigued and so interested on anything that has to do with kung fu. And there was a time where a lot of these movies, the kung fu movies, start coming to America in the 70s. This happened after the Vietnam War. People were more interested in martial arts in America. There was this big interest. After the Korean War and after the Vietnam War, a lot of Americans that came from there, they were interested. They introduced all these things, and there was a big growth of that. And people were so interested in movies. Of course, start coming in from Hong Kong. So the comics, they wanted to create characters like that's what we got. Iron Fist, who was very popular. But around Iron Fist, Luke Cage, there were other characters like the daughters of the sisters of daughters of the dragon. But one of them also was Shang-Chi, the Hands of Kung Fu. And he's been part of the Marvel Universe in so many different ways. He's always been there, kind of on the side. And we knew that he was coming. And I'm very excited that they finally confirmed it. And another great part is that the whole cast is going to be Chinese, which a lot of people are very excited. Have a great cast, great actors playing the part. Some of the best actors in China. So definitely it looks good. And definitely I'm very excited. Not only that, they're going to do justice, they say, into the Mandarin. Something that a lot of fans for years after Iron Man 3, they were so upset that the Mandarin, who has always been the biggest foe or the most popular or the most recognized foe of Iron Man, was never really treated properly in the film. But they're gonna fix it here. Unfortunately, Iron Man is not gonna be part of it, but they're gonna bring it into into the world of the Shang-Chi, which really exciting. And all of this has been part of the 10 Rings and all that stuff. This is going to be cool. I'm really excited for it. Looking forward to it. This is scheduled for February 12th of 2021. So that gives us a little over a year and a half. Definitely looking forward to this film. I'm going to support it. A lot of people, some people are excited, excited for it. Always are going to find some haters are going to say, well, now they're trying to go with the minority stuff. Well, it is what it is. Shang-Chi shouldn't be, Caucasian or Hispanic or African American. He is, a Chinese character. Should be respected, and I'm very happy for that. Now, the next thing they talk about was the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I love the comics after the death of Captain America. You knew then when he came back, Steve Rogers, he gave the shield to in this case the Falcon, and that's in the comics. It's not in the movies. I know people got upset about that as well. They say, why they didn't give the shield to, in this case, to Bucky? Well, if you keep up with the comics, then you understand why. It is what it is. The fact is that they're going to have their own TV show. And I'm glad for that because I like the comics, when they came out after that. They had a small run. It was only like 4 or 5 issues, but it was very fun. And what I like about the comics is because Falcon in this one, Sam Wilson, he's doubting himself. He's doubting about his ability to become a soldier. He's a soldier. He was born and bred as a soldier, but he's doubted because everybody's doubting him. And I love the way that the comics were handled in regards to that. But, not only that, the Sebastian Stan is going to play, of course, Bucky Barnes. Bucky Barnes was there to really support him, to really be with him, and I feel that the comics, I like the art, I like the approach to it. They fighting Hydra. We know that in this case, Baron Zemo is going to be in this show. So really looking forward to what they're doing. This is scheduled for the fall of 2020, so it's like over a year. We're going to get to see this, and I'm really looking forward to that. Definitely, I like them both. I like the interactions, even on the Avengers films, on in this case, Endgame, Infinity War, and even what was the last one? The last Cap film, was that Civil War? Yeah, I think it was the next one. That I really like this animosity they have together with each other. Yeah, it was Civil War. They have this animosity, but that makes it unique, and I really like that. Now, after that, they talk about the Eternals. We knew about this one. It's been a lot of speculation after a while. The cast officially includes Richard Madden. He's going to play Icarus. We have Kumail Nanjiani as Kingo, Dong Lee as Gilgamesh, Brian Tyree Henry as the genius Phastos, Liam McCall as Sprite, and Salma Hayek. Oh, Salma Hayek, I didn't know that, as their leader, Ajak. Now, of course, we know that Angelina Jolie is going to play Stena, and there are the things I don't know. I knew that there were a lot of talks about bringing Keanu Reeves to be in the Eternals. I don't know if they're still on the table. We don't know yet. But that'd be interesting to see. I know they make that a speculation. The cast was there. I think Angelina Jolie was there. And this is coming out November 6, 2020. Really looking forward to this. Definitely, I think, again, they're setting the stage for the next villains, the next, big battles, intergalactic battles. And I'm really looking forward to that. Hopefully, with all of this, we get to see a real Inhumans in the whole mix, and of course the Kree battles and all this, big things, and probably Galactus at some point. Perhaps not on this, because they need to explore other villains before they get to that point. But definitely, there's a lot of great things. Now, they continue on with all of that. They didn't have time to talk about a lot of things there on the show. They say, well, they still have a lot of projects in the works. They're still working on. In this case, the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, we know that that's in the works. They're talking about Black Panther, Panther 2, Captain Marvel 2, all of that is on the works. So they're really working. They give us a really nice timeline of 2 years. So definitely not only including movies, but also including TV shows. They're trying to be all that inclusive into one single universe. I think it's a bright idea. Really looking forward to that. They're setting the stage. And, they set the stage for other bigger things to happen. And, everybody's making a speculation, already making some speculation about it. I think they're going to bring characters back like Captain America at some point. If you're creating a Falcon story with, in this case, the Winter Soldier, it means that at some point Cap needs to come back. And they kind of left that open in the last film in Endgame, where he doesn't tell, in this case, Sam Wilson, what he has been up to doing, that time. So I'm guessing that there's going to be some in there that he didn't want to tell him, of course, that he got, married, and I said maybe in a different set of the universe, but also he had to get into some adventures with him. You don't want to just break the timeline by just telling people the past. So there are a couple of things, there's a lot of things that we can speculate where they're heading. They're setting the stage for the next thing. I'm so excited for it. Definitely, they're setting some stuff that I might not be crazy about it, but I'm gonna wait. I'm not gonna hate until I see it. I think it's good when they're representing also different minorities. I think the less represented minority I would say in comics, it's always been they're two, the Hispanics and the Asians, and I feel that they're doing that now. With Shang-Chi, they're representing the character. They already did it with Black Panther, which I love. They need that. Hopefully next they have a Hispanic character. There's a couple of them, not that many, but there are a couple. Hopefully we can get to see all of that because it's good. It's really, really cool. The only thing that I'm sad with Shang-Chi is the fact that there's no connection between Iron Fist or Luke Cage and all that with the Netflix TV show. But we never know in the future what they attempt to do or what they try to do to connect them with all these characters, more street level characters. But definitely it's exciting. There's a lot to really look forward to. I wouldn't say that I'm 100% super happy for everything, but I can see now the writing on the wall, the direction they're heading. Some stuff might be cringy just to think about, but I'm the type of person that until that time comes, I'm going to watch it and then I'll make my mind if it's good or it's bad. But what is your opinion? What do you think about this? Do you like this lineup? Is anything here that you like? I'm very happy that they're doing that. Some people were saying why they didn't bring the Avengers. I don't think it's necessary because of the way Avengers Endgame ended. They need to give it a rest. I don't think they're going to get together. Like in any comic book story, they have to start with separate stories until they build up to a major story or the final battle where all the stories have to get together. I think that's how it works best, in my opinion, as a comic book reader. But Leffany, I leave it to you. I would say, just let me know how you feel. If you're watching on YouTube, leave in the comments below. What do you think about this presentation? Anything you're disappointed from this presentation or anything that you're happy about? What is your opinion? I would like to hear it. Now, if you're listening to the podcast, you can go to you can go to Instagram, you can go to Twitter, you can go to Facebook, my Facebook page, and you can leave your comments below. So once again, my friends, God bless you. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you again. Bye-bye.